Welcome to Issued for Construction. I am your host, Jonathan Jacobs. And today I've got with me two gentlemen who I would say have been in this industry for a couple years.
Few years, like 45 years, 46 years.
Today
You can stretch the year, the concept of your bit, maybe.
the amazing minds and creatives behind Yabu Pushelberg.
George and Glenn.
I have George and Glenn.
Yeah. Hi there, everybody.
We're thrilled to be one of the, I guess, maybe not the debut, but to be part of this and one of the very first episodes of the new series.
Yeah,
we're absolutely delighted.
And I honestly appreciate it. So we met I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago at an incredible party you had here with Jeannie Baker and Chris Sherman and the beautiful Kelly Buffy walked in, and I was like, "Oh, Kelly!" And then we ended up chatting through the night, and I reached out afterwards, and so yes. you've obliged me with your time, which I know goes quickly.
Yeah, it does.
So.
It does.
Before we dive in, I want to take a quick second to talk about the power of a creative network. You'll hear today how George and Glenn's studio has been an absolute breeding ground for talent, producing some internationally renowned practices from people who have moved through their doors. Kaplan's Appliances operates with that exact same mindset. They create a community for the community. For most places, shiny lights and appliances are synonymous with an appliance store. But that's where it stops. With Kaplan's, that's where it starts. Fostering relationships, curating a professional network, and supporting talent with connectivity programs like their Masterclass series is just one example. We are working on so much more to help bring value to you, the architect, the designer, the builder. If you want to learn more, and I suggest you do, email me at Jonathan, that's Jonathan, at issuedforconstruction.ca, and I'm happy to tell you more. Now, back to George and Glenn.
So with that said, I always ask people, I really want to know about who you are as people. Where did you start? What were the early foundations of your life? So if you wouldn't mind, and I open it to either of you, you can decide who you want to answer first. Where were you born, and what was life like for you? What kind of child were you? Creative? Were you exploratory? Were you interested in math, sciences? What were you? Where were you born?
No, I can start. This is easy. I mean, everybody looks for genius. We're not geniuses. We're just hardworking people. But I think that, you must have come from a creative family, this and that. Both our families, in their own ways, were creative. Anybody can be creative, but we came from very simple families.
Okay.
Like factory workers in small towns like Kitchener, and kind of living as a young closeted gay person, living in a very small circle because there was no way out.
Right.
And actually not even understanding that, but the notion of going to, at that point called Ryerson, to get out of a small town, to work in a program, to be in a program, a university program that was about drawing and not about writing examinations, had a lot of appeal. It wasn't I didn't have any depth of what interior design was as a profession. And in fact, I was also picked 3 different disparate ideas around the future, which was hotel and food administration at the University of Guelph and Fine Arts at OCA, CAD as it's called, and chose the most somewhat practical solution. I couldn't go to University of Guelph because I would have to live at home. That was not part of it. That was not part of it. And that was too practical to become a fine artist, because how could I make a living? So I went to TMU or Ryerson.
And what's
a good choice?
What drove you there?
I would have to live in Toronto and not a small town.
Okay.
And I didn't have to write exams. That was basically it. And it was, I think university for a lot of people is about learning about yourself through other people, as students.
Yep.
It feels a side thing is learning a profession or learning a skill or something.
Well, yes. I mean, I'm not going to rewrite your story because I know a little bit. In the small town, this you can't, something's different about you, but just that's no reference. No, you can't identify something that's familiar that connect in any way. So that's why you go to the bigger towns.
Yeah.
You go to the bigger cities because then you have people, oh, not so weird. I'm still weird.
Yeah.
Not so weird.
But there's more of me here.
Yeah.
You can see.
So, yeah.
And you also grew up in Kitchener?
No, that's right. I was in Toronto.
Okay.
Cabbage Town.
Really, I was born in inner city downtown Toronto before Cabbage Town became gentrified.
Okay.
And I'm gonna make this story short because I have a long life that I've got here to some point. But my informed by your upbringing, and my upbringing was an interesting story. My three sisters and brother were born in camp in the interior BC.
Okay.
Because their citizenship and their businesses and all their possessions were taken away and auctioned because they declared Japanese were enemy of the state.
Yep.
So they followed the U.S.
Yeah, like Raymond Moriyama.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
So same thing.
Yeah.
So that informs you. I always came as in a mistake, and I figured it out because my four sisters, my brother finally got 5 and they stopped. And there's a huge gap when I came. Anyway,
You and I are the same.
Are they? The same. I'm going to get back to the story now. So these things are
Unwanted.
my father being disciplinarian and rigorous, and he was like mentally preparing me for anything can happen to you. This thing can happen again.
Yeah.
But I wasn't clever enough to figure it out. And it did happen again, like this unfair injustice that happened during COVID, and they blamed Asians, for example.
Yeah.
Not just Asians.
Yeah.
And so he's saying, like, you got to be better, unfortunately, than anybody else. I wish he'd say that more seriously, but that was his way, part. And so I can tough it. So we always mentally was very hard on us, especially me, because I came later and wasn't needed. I got his first son, so I had to try extra hard, and who was really rough mentally, and I didn't get it. I wish I got it sooner. So I lived on the streets before I think I had an awareness of people that are different, weird, like me, but different, weird. I lived on the streets. I was a key kid. That was my best time, one of the best times of my life. All these decades, I remember the days that I was alone, half a day from Monday to Friday, because no one can tell me what to do.
Right.
I just explored the city, and I had a double right. Nobody knew. My siblings and my parents didn't know. That's how I survived. That, hey, I'm a freak, but I'm not the only one. And I was lucky because I was right in the middle of it, right?
He's not a freak.
So
I love this. This is great so far.
Yeah, he's not a freak.
So I had banged the person started really fast. I went for it. Oh, I know. I'm also I'm not good. There's absolutely no way I can be a doctor engineer. I'm not good at math and things, but I do like architecture because I got inspired at Expo 67 in Montreal, where they sent all the public school students with approval of the parents to go to Expo for 2 days and shack up in the gymnasium. It's at Concordia University, and it was $30 for thing to get there. It was a big deal. It's just great, but $30 to get there. But I didn't realize I remember all the pavilions, and I know what's inside them, the content. So it was that blew me away. I always thought this is my before Star Wars came out. This says Never Neverland. This Expo, and I didn't realize that it informed me. So I thought, I can't do this because I'm shitty. My father is so just shitty at math. Right. So I dismissed going to architecture. And then I said, God, I was, what am I going to do? I'm a total loser. So
George has
let
an
me do
incredible
something.
memory.
So it was an open house at Ryerson, and it was just popped in an open house because my sister's girlfriend's fiance was Brian Kidden was a professor there. And I thought, this place is so cool. I can play. There's cameras, single lens cameras I've never seen before, but I want to try it. filmmaking Super 8, making filmmaking class, and then there's a plastic shop, a wood shop,
Yeah.
metal shop. This is playing.
Yeah.
This can't be real.
Yeah.
So I applied, and thank God, because I was afraid of going to university because I thought it was, wouldn't make it through, and I wouldn't even hear the end of it. But I figured, this looks like fun if I don't have to do any papers or anything. And I did, but I really took it hard, and I worked the hell. But then, and I got my groove. But somehow something snapped. Just months before graduation, I realized the big world out there. And because of my rock kind of knowing, it's a wild world out there. It's not as uniform as like people like present the world.
Right.
So I said, I just had a gut feeling. It made me terrified that for those 4 years of design education made me realize I know so little, and that freaked me out. And I would disappoint my father if he came out of her father in the first week. I really believe that. So I just said, I'm really busy, and I've got this job here to do some little kitchenette, and slid through it.
And had you met in school?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, first year.
Okay.
But there's something about through happenstance, finding something you really had a passion for doing,
Yeah.
which was design.
Yeah.
And I think that propelled us our whole lives. It was happenstance that we got to the point of understanding what design was as a profession, but we both had a passion for it, and I think that's always what drove us. It wasn't passion for doing business or creating studio; it was a passion for design, and then learning the rest of it incrementally.
Learning the rest of it. That phrase really hits home. Coming from a background as a builder and now consulting alongside so many of you, I see firsthand what the rest of it looks like for architects and designers tuning in. Even builders. It's the late nights, managing high client expectations, and the endless coordination required to actually get a project out of the ground. That is exactly why you need partners who take some of the weight off your shoulders, which is why I'm so proud to partner with the Doors. When it comes to windows and doors, timelines are often tight, and the details can make or break the project. What sets the Doors apart is their incredible proficiency and in-house capability to control the process. They operate right out of their own facility in Toronto, fully equipped with their own aluminum machinery. They even have their own spider crane to handle complex installations. So when you are up against the clock with a tight timeline requirement, they don't have to rely on third-party equipment rentals or outside fabrication. They are there, ready to support the project. In Toronto, Muskoka, the surrounding GTA area, across Canada, North America, the Bahamas, the Caribbean. If you want a glazing partner that respects your hard work and has the tools to execute, you need to connect with them. It's Martin, Marta, and their fantastic team. And you can email me directly and I'll set up an intro, or head over to the liner notes and you can see a link to their website. My email address is Jonathan, that's Jonathan @issuedforconstruction.ca. Now, let's get back to George and Glenn and find out what learning the rest of it looked like for them.
And so when you graduated from school, what did it look like for you? What was the path after school?
Well, that's interesting.
Okay, you go ahead. It's fine.
So the thing is, it was a very nascent profession. A nascent profession that started in the winding down the School of Upholstery at Ryerson Polytechnical Institute.
Okay.
And interior design with a 4-year degree, accredited degree program, was an unusual thing to do. The first degree granting program, interior design, and the other one was journalism, the two parallel.
Yep.
And I thought one makes sense to me. The other one didn't make sense to me. So I thought, and that made me realize nobody in the world understands what interior design is yet. Those years.
70s.
It took me years. What exactly do you do in that tone, my father? Right?
Yeah. Completely unaware.
All I see is a camera rolling your drawings. Like, do you do anything? Like,
Sure.
Because you had to be a known
Yeah,
professional.
well, who would know
It was
what that is?
then-
Our
right?
parent would know.
I couldn't
We
explain
didn't
it.
know.
Right.
Sure design. I couldn't. I honestly tried to explain and it didn't come across. And I get it. And now it reminds me of a social post that I saw. I said, "Why are a lot of gay people creative?" Because they were forced to find their own voice and sort of make things up because they were marginalized and they didn't connect or people ignored them. And so that thing, they had to like create a world to get out there.
Form of expression
Yes.
that was suppressed.
Yes. Whether it's true or not, but this was one person's psychologist.
Well, but you're also talking about a time when like it was still
dangerous.
It was dangerous. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd give two observations to the audience.
Yes.
Number one is the scale of interior design in Toronto as a profession.
Yeah.
I think there were the most 5 or 6 companies doing mostly office design.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 companies doing a shopping center and retail design. But there was a kind of about 6. So today I can count at least 25 companies that have come through from us.
Yes.
As not that we had anything to do with it, but helping people inspired to do their
Yeah.
own thing. 25 companies in Toronto, 35 companies around the world. So we helped create a profession here, but the profession was also organically growing. So I think what we did was we by example showed a way to move beyond just a regional or national company.
Well, so that's what I want to ask you. So when you came out of school, before we recorded this, you said no, I didn't work for anyone.
Yeah.
So did you find?
Not really.
Oh, yeah.
I worked freelance for
Yeah.
here and there, but I was also doing my own freelance work.
Right.
I had an entrepreneur's mind of like, I was a hustler.
Right.
Right.
Still are.
I still are. That's
I
my
just
job as a provider.
Just as a reference to that.
Yeah.
We've been here. You've received calls from overseas. You've got meetings that have now been scheduled.
Yeah.
Like for anyone out there that thinks that the practice is simply just running itself, that is not the case. Okay.
A machine.
There are 2 people in front of me that are actively engaged in everything to do with this practice.
You know, we've been approached by many people about being sold because, we're older now. It's a perfect time to sell and stuff. We said, no, we don't really want to sell. We don't need the money and we don't want to work for somebody. We never did.
Yeah.
And we don't think we could do and be effective. And we would rather find ways to grow our practice qualitatively, not quantitatively, not have hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yep.
And enjoy it. And
Be
find
engaged
other
with the
people
work.
around us that do all the day-to-day so
Right.
we can delve into design and delve into meeting clients and talking about the world we live in.
So in what year did you find the practice?
1980.
1980.
What is it today? Yeah, 46 years. It'll be 46.
Almost lost.
26, yes,
My son-
1980.
1980 you
twice.
founded the practice.
Yeah,
And I mean, so a couple questions on this element.
sure.
What you found it together?
We were walking around, we knew each other. We were walking down the
Somewhere,
street
yeah.
and we bumped into each other and we were chatting. We were both working out of our homes and decided it would be good to share a studio together. That's how we
We were
started.
both looking for studio spaces unbeknownst to each other that same day.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so then we got a studio at King and Parliament.
Parliament Studios.
Working, and then we actually started working in each other's work, and so it became too easy. So we started a company, and we fell in love at the same time.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple follow up to those. I mean, the love element is like, to me, I think it's one of the greatest parts of all of this, because what is better than being able to be together with someone that you love, work with them, and have the personal relationship with them,
Sure.
and be able to blend those.
Yeah.
So I mean, kudos to you, because like,
Well, not every day is perfect, but
Yeah,
we
of
do
course.
try. I mean, both are important.
It's
Both are important.
yeah.
but there's no easy relationship. Always no relationship is easy.
No.
So this is one of the most difficult ones because it's 24/7, and it impacts it impacts the studio And because we didn't not planning, and it wasn't like thing. It's I don't regret things,
Yeah.
but our state of mind impacts the studio.
Yes, of course.
Mood, well-being, and
Sometimes you got to
yeah.
park it at the door, which you can imagine. Sometimes,
or I said to him, there was so much coming at me, and I said to one group of interns, I know this is not really professional, but I just feel like I'm going to try something different this year. You're going to maybe things that we're going to see as inappropriate we're at, but if I took that time and pause, and some days are going to be challenging, is because it's 24/7 another person.
Yep.
Some days will not be smooth, but wouldn't you rather just listen and just ignore the stuff that maybe isn't? Give us some sign, and I think you'll enjoy it more if you ignore the things that don't matter.
right?
And so you have to address these things.
And filter.
Yeah,
You gotta
filter.
teach people how to filter.
Yeah.
So one of the other questions I had was, when you started, do you recall some of the first projects that you had?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And what were they?
disasters.
Perfect.
But they're fun. They're fun. They were fun disasters because it took us to a greater place.
And like, what was?
So, everybody, you read these things when you're young. Sorry, did you want to answer this, George?
Go ahead.
That when you read these articles when you're young, you have to build a network.
Yeah.
And then you also read everybody has a network, and everybody has a network. So what did we design? Where we took our paper to get copied. We did a copy shop at the Eden Center, but it was the most beautiful
friend of the
shop
clerk.
in machines. We took our laundry to a dry cleaner. We ended up designing the dry cleaning.
You're fresh up.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, we did we did a Midas muffler shop once.
Yeah.
We did everything.
What nobody just saw was Glenn's eyes just light up talking about the Midas muffler shop.
Yeah.
The most, even back.
That was the coolest one, though.
Like a Dell cleaner counter. It was just the most creative thing you can do. Let's design a custom, that rod that when they take your clothes off the conveyor and they hang it for you, that
Yeah.
hook, we customize it. Like those simple things. Like,
So product design, it wasn't just interior design.
It
Yes.
was,
we just did anything because we were curious and we wanted to see how far we can
although we were
complete our curiosity, and that drives us still today. That's why we're still doing it.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah, although we were trained in interior design, we see design as an envelope, whether it's interiors, whether it's product, whether it's graphics, whether it's conceptual architecture at some point.
Yep.
You can touch on all of that if you have the right people behind you and enough experience and exposure in the world to do. And, of course, we're not registered architects. We're not even registered interior designers in Ontario. So we're not interior designers. We're designers. That's a different story. But we do, we attach a professionalism to things. But I think where we're moving today is we've moved to a holistic design practice. So we touch on a lot of things. We touched on the art consulting. We through an affiliated company with a friend of ours that we partially own. Our plan right now is sorry, I'm jumping around a bit.
That's okay.
That's all right. But product design, we've got an incredible team of product designers that George has a fine eye for that. And so we have a great product design practice now.
Yep.
At least 20 different producers, some of the best people on earth producing furniture and kitchens and stuff. We do graphics and wayfinding. We are doing the decorative arts, which is the finishing of things.
Yep.
So we kind of try to touch on as much as we can to get us most complete projects. And instead of building and having more people, we're at about 110, 120 people.
Between two different cities, also worth noting.
New York and Toronto.
We didn't get into that before.
We're in New York, Toronto, and then now we have 2 people in Milan. But the thing about it is that we are not about becoming bigger.
Yeah.
It's like, let's find people around us that we can help invest and grow in their practices and become a participant.
Yeah.
So Hanabi Hanabi, which means fireworks in Japanese. Our friend Jamie, that's our partner in the art consulting. We have another friend, Sam, who we helped start a design office in Bangkok called Samon.
Yeah.
And so we can feed him work, or he can do all the follow-up work from our creative work. He can manage our project in Southeast Asia and China and stuff. And so that doesn't, we don't have to physically grow. And then we're talking to somebody in Europe about buying into their lighting consultancy to do the same thing, help them grow and expand because we have exposure everywhere.
Yeah.
Help us because he's super interesting, super creative, and he's got a small team of people. So being nimble and moving around the planet is what we want to do. It keeps our life simple.
Yeah.
And then the last thing we're doing is we have a big presence in the United States as well as now in Canada. We're getting a lot of work in Canada, which we've had for 25 years.
Yeah.
We are creating an outpost in Milan to shift some of our assets to express ourselves more completely in that city because we were growing our practice in Europe and stuff.
This is what we were talking about when we met.
Yeah. Now we found a piece of property that we can do events and happenings in, that we do a small studio that we maybe make a 3 or 4 room hotel.
Yeah.
We'll call it the happening.
It's happening because today is pop-ups and things.
Yeah. I love this.
Parties, there were spontaneous parties and events called happenings in that hippie era. And it was an anything goes type of thing. So doing this thing, we didn't, well, why don't we do a hotel? That'd be fun when we realize, then show our clients this is the way to do it. And we don't have to convince you. We invite the clients to stay in what a proper hospitality, what proper graciousness is
right
to host people. And you don't have to challenge us because you can't. It's perfect. It's going to be perfect. And I don't want to do that because to have that work is a ton of people behind the stress to make sure everything works for 5 rooms.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're going through all these, and that's why I call it happening. Anything is happening in Milan. So we don't know, but we found this fantastic property. And it could be anything. Anything can happen inside there. Like even if it has nothing to do with us, just support the fashion industry.
Right.
That's the associated related creative industry, the big one in Italy. And to connect there, it's just connections and slow. And it's our little way of people like, we were talking about this earlier, bringing like-minded people together.
Yes.
Because it's fun. And being kind is a lot easier to mean upfront.
This was a topic of discussion before we started recording, and just the importance of surrounding yourself with people that are positive. That are
have different knowledge than you.
Yes.
Are like-minded.
Yes. That are filling the gaps of the things that that you can't necessarily totally fulfill, but you can build upon and help them to grow.
Yeah. So if you let them go, the lighting designer that we think is brilliant, do their thing, and Sam, you're also be able to let go and push your own creativity further because you don't have to worry about, like propping them up because you're given the opportunity for them to take ownership. And that allows the freedom for us to do even more interesting things and different typology that we always want to do.
Right. I think that it goes back to when we were talking earlier about not going into design about business, but going to design about a passion of something that we enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I think that for us at this point in our life, it's like connecting those dots because we live and work and breathe everything.
Yep.
It's like what will enhance our life experiences and what will also click with work and stuff. And your limits are usually self-imposed, and the more you can eliminate that, the higher you can rise in life.
Mm-hmm.
I think our mutual friend Christopher Sherman talks to that all the time.
Yeah.
In his own venues, his own work.
I'm just going to say that, Chris, man, love you. I just got to say it to you because you'll listen to this.
Yeah, he's a great guy. But you find inspiration in people like Christopher Sherman, who's a photographer, who espouses positivity, openness, creativity, living without shame or blame and all of those things. I mean, you're always learning. And so if we can move our lives forward, if we can create a kind of another center in Europe and that our friends
And that
our staff
people that want
and our
that.
family can enjoy or
Sure.
share others,
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Do that because we have the means.
I was just going to say, it's the fact that you've built something that is so much attributed to what you have described as surrounding yourself with people that can fulfill the things that you can't,
Right.
building them up, letting, as they go and they create their own practice, giving them the credit for being able to go out and do it and helping with that.
There's a funny in the professions of a design architecture. There's a funny myopic sense that when you have a company, that it has to be centered and it has to illustrate the genius, the one person. But if that's not really true, and then it's not really the reality is there's lots of people that make up a successful firm. There was an interview process, and there was a younger firm in Toronto that came from us, and we were interviewed as an alternative to them. And the interesting thing from the other side, which I found out because we had a mole on the other side, was that one company came across as the new entrepreneur, and it was him, and then the rest. And then when they came to our office, it was like everybody in the meeting spoke to the desires, aspirations, the project, the firm, and stuff. And it was like a well-oiled machine. And the client side saw the value of letting people fly, and they felt the confidence of having very smart people around them with different strengths.
Right.
And I think you see all kinds of jealousies, right, George? Like even in big firms in Europe and stuff, they try to keep you out of things. And we always say, like, who cares?
There's enough work for everyone.
Everybody.
Yes.
But
So
Silly.
I did want to ask you, because we've touched on this a few times, when you started out the practice and you had these like incredibly different types of projects.
Yeah.
What was it that sparked the need to have to hire support? And as a follow-up to that, how did it feel when you made your first hire? Was it daunting? Now you have someone to support.
Remember that English guy, George?
Jonathan Chalmers. Jim Chalmers.
Number one.
No, I think it wasn't daunting. It was just didn't know anything.
Naivety.
Now,
Come on.
I'm talking about myself, but
Fair.
like,
No.
Yeah. like in my mind, you gotta go. You gotta. It makes sense to hire. This is how naive I was thinking. Well, you're gonna hire someone because you can't go covering all that. You gotta train someone to do what you're doing so you can do the next level.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was a slow process for me. Like, it's not that aggravating, but it's daunting for me to find the person that understands me.
Yes.
So I can do that. That was the most challenging part.
And what was the role?
It was
Do the same.
The draft
That's
person.
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you learn by default.
Yes.
I mean, you want to do everything yourself, and then you become overwhelmed with too many things to do, and think, well, I better hire the simplest role, which at that point was a draftsman. There were no computers.
Yep.
There was a draftsman.
Yep.
And eventually, after I think it was employee number 6 was Tara. We hired a real designer, and that's the point where we felt somewhat compatible with her. Then you kind of learn how to delegate as best you can, but also control what is important to you.
A little earlier in our conversation, George and Glenn spoke about their new happening outpost in Milan and the undeniable influence that Italy has on global design and the creative industry. The Italians just have an incredible way of blending form, function, and natural beauty. That is exactly the philosophy behind my partner Aquanta Pools. Aquanta is an authorized builder of biodesign pools, bringing revolutionary, original Italian technology right here in Ontario. With biodesign, you aren't just getting a standard concrete tub, you are getting a fully customizable, eco-friendly, natural oasis that seamlessly integrates into your landscape. Imagine a luxury, authentic beach experience tailored specifically to your backyard. Built with natural quartz, marble, and microban antibacterial coating that eliminates harsh corners and edges. It's about bringing that world-class European elegance and cutting-edge, sustainable design right to your home. To learn more on how Aquanta Pools can completely reshape your outdoor space with authentic Italian biodesign technology, head over to the liner notes and you can see their website. Or you can email me directly. It's Jonathan, that's Jonathan, @issuedforconstruction.ca. Now, let's get back to the conversation.
But still, while that's going on, it was 100% true in my mind. That's Glenn,
Yeah.
what he told you about
Yeah.
a perspective. Yes, a perspective of the question that you asked. But so in my mind, I said, no, I asked one page, I was like, how are we going to do this? And it showed we never made any money, but we certainly had a lot of fun exploring.
Well, it's hard. It's hard, right?
Yeah. Yes.
We never did what?
And
Never made money.
those three.
Oh, the beginning.
So we had to go back to school. We lost the business. He had to sell his furniture at home,
Yeah.
to keep the doors open and pay the rent. All that. Like
This is
sleeping on
this
the
is while you
mattress.
had people
Yeah.
working for you.
No.
No.
That was
Okay.
before.
We have 2 bankruptcy stores, but anyway, that
No, we didn't go bankrupt, George. We almost went
bankruptcy stores.
Yeah, we almost went
Stores
right. Just to be
were-
clear.
bankruptcy doesn't mean that we went back. Yeah. So,
Just want to be clear to the audience.
Yeah.
oh, so what was I saying?
About that growth and what it was like.
I
for you.
knew the fact that this is not working because now we have more people and stuff. Oh my God, they want to have a kid and they want a house. And I said, oh, I think we got to not take it more seriously. I think we got to figure this out then because now people are relying on us.
So did you have to hire a business coach, or what?
We went to Harvard Con Ed at the architectural graduate school for summer. It's courses are hard to run
business?
architectural business.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, because I think a lot of people that are in the same type of a situation don't actually do that. They just start hiring people and figuring out with the wrong people until they find the right people.
I mean, there's a lot of story behind all of that without getting into
Yeah.
too much
Yeah.
detail of over leveraging, and then a recession coming.
Yeah.
And,
Ooh,
being
yeah.
wealthy 1 month and 6 months later being broke
Yeah.
and learning the hard way. But I think force learning, if
Resiliency.
you learn resilience,
situation,
you learn how to rely on other people with things you don't know.
Yep.
You learn how to teach yourself what you can.
Yep.
And you learn to bring other people into the practice, and hopefully they can do a job. And
Yeah.
it's always hit and miss, but you have to always be positive. I think you always have to believe in people and trust it until it comes a point the trust is broken.
Yep.
And then and understand the levels of risk that are you're comfortable with, and also that you should be risking because you have other people around you, as George said, people with families.
Yeah.
And just even single people, whatever the
Yeah.
situation. When you're an employer, you have to think about that.
And so another curiosity, and I'll get to like some of the creative and the expansion and all of that, but how did you establish, like, when you go and get a group of people, you've got employees now, you got to go find like an insurance package,
Oh, yeah.
and you got to
Oh,
go
yeah.
figure all that out.
You had he has many sisters who came and helped us
Yeah,
at various
helped
times
us at various points.
doing that thing. That's having people that you can trust,
Yes.
as they go back to, and people that have knowledge that you don't have.
So if I can just speak to anyone listening, if you're starting out a practice, you have to understand there's going to be a lot that you don't know. And you're hearing from 2 people that have done this for 46 years
Right.
Yeah, more
That-
than you ever thought.
that they have been near bankrupt. Okay.
Yeah.
And still found a way to be able to make it through. You can do it too. You just got to be able to believe in yourself and know the right questions to ask.
And still finding the way, keep going on your curiosity journey. And that's
Yeah.
still, and jokingly not, Glenn says, we feel so grown up now. We've hired we have our own attorney on staff, because we had to, because of
In-house
all
counsel.
the-
It's cheaper.
because of
Actually,
Yeah, for sure.
not only that,
and she's good, and we're dedicated.
she's she worked her same position at a global powerhouse.
Yeah.
There's a KPI, one of the big architect firms. She has a lawyer there, so she knows the stuff. And we work around the world, so it's complicated. All the
Legalities
thing.
associated with different different
You can't
regions.
make them work the way you do. You
Of course.
that's their culture.
Yeah.
So she helps.
This is interesting because that's a perfect lead into what I wanted to ask you next, which was, at what point did you land your first international project?
I was in 80 something Taipei. Or was it before
Yeah,
that? The States?
No, that's correct. I'll give it a little bit of chronology.
Yeah.
84. We got in 82. 82,
2 years.
2 years into business. We get a call from this guy who works for a mogul here in Toronto. He and his friends were starting a chain of Korean restaurants called Kiku. And we had the opportunity to pitch the design. So we worked all night. We were nervous as hell. Didn't sleep. We were an hour late for the meeting, but we were earnest. And the runnings are crazy, but we were earnest. The guy remembered it. 2 years later, he's dating Joe Mimran's sister. And Joe Mimran, if any of you know him, he started Club Monaco. Now, I need to find the right people. And that's our friend, who's still a friend today, Stephen, said, oh, yeah, these guys are really keen and really good. Hire them.
They didn't get the job.
Club Monaco was our first break. It was the first kind of like real big company.
Yeah.
And then that moved to Holt Renfrew, another retail, better retail work.
Yeah.
There was go ahead.
I just want to emphasize that we really didn't get the job with that, but he saw something in us.
In Club Monaco, we did.
Yeah.
Kiku, yeah, we did.
We didn't get the job. This is pivotal. It's an important fact.
Yeah,
I just want to be clear with the audience that we didn't get the job, but I said, you should talk to these guys because they've got something, the way they see things, you might be able to help you, even though they fucked up on that.
So people, so it's the lesson there is build relationships.
Yes.
And
put your
and expose your vulnerability.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like the perfect genius all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so through all of that, then we I don't know if Renfrew went to, then it was Carolina Herrera. Carolina Herrera was Tiffany's, and Tiffany's was Bergdorf's.
Yeah.
And after Bergdorf's, there was this department store company in Taiwan, of all places, and Lillian Chu, young, beautiful, smart, ambitious woman, was the president of the company. And it was when the duties were coming down, they could import foreign clothing, fashion. And stuff. She wanted to make a big fashion store like that. So we got on a plane for 16 hours and went to Taipei. It was like going to an alien.
Were you not freaking out?
Yeah, no. We were like,
Like Blade Runner, we were like,
yeah, it was like Blade Runner.
at 2 a.m. when all these
Yeah.
I have to explain a barber something.
No, that's
Got picked up at that barefoot driver. And
cab driver. That was the olden days.
he was eating beetle nuts all night.
Yeah.
In fact, it was like a horror show. I said,
Yeah.
fuck, are we?
What are we doing?
Why are we here?
And I found out why we're here. It was very clear. First meeting.
Yeah.
First time we have in a seizure in Taiwan. How am I going to get the people to not buy the fake knockoffs on blankets in the front of the street?
Right.
And because the tariffs are so high, and now we're doing okay, the government's releasing it in these, but I can't convince them to switch from that to 8 to 10 times price.
Yeah.
So we got to create this emporium to draw them into old fashioned multi-brand department store in Taipei and make it fashionable. And so it was a tough thing. You got to, how to seduce, this is our first time. It's a psychology. And she was like, how to
and culturally
the customer to take it off the beautifully lit thing. And you got to make that person dazzle on all angles. It's just lying flat on the thing. They don't see that. Why should I buy that? It looks kind of the same. So you got to create the servicing. And she wanted us at the beginning because this is all new to her.
Right.
Yeah. But she knew that it's not going to happen from within, and she's got to find somebody.
Smart woman.
We ended up with more work in Taiwan. People in Japan saw us. We ended up working in Japan. People from there, people at Hong Kong and then China. And everything just...
Hold on. I got to ask the question.
Yeah, sure.
When you got to doing work in Japan, did your father give you the credit?
My
biggest.
Yeah.
It was beaming.
He was being, but he still was hard for him to say you came out okay.
You've done it. Yeah.
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 But I could tell because he didn't leap on.
I mean, I've got to say, like the circular moment in your professional career, to go from not being sure of what entirely you were going to do on the street, not entirely sure what you would land at, to then all of a sudden now you're designing for your home country.
And I didn't realize that
I have shivers.
I didn't realize how much that helped me working in Japan, like that saved my ass, like, and I will respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
ju-
what? Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. No.
I think, what's interesting, because we opened a really beautiful project a year ago in Japan,
Yeah.
one this year, and we have a third project, which is an onsen retreat at the base of Mount Fuji next year. The amount of pride,
Yes.
real pride,
Yeah.
coming from George, working in Japan, because Japan is the ultimate place to be with design.
Yep.
Is super wonderful to see.
To see friends because they just happen to be there and to see the project. And now I understand you, like you're crazy, like like keep going. I understand, it took me for a long time, and now it just makes all the sense. I started crying.
I mean,
I couldn't stop crying.
I'm like, barely having known you, I also like, I'm there. I mean, the beauty of what that is. So just a couple more questions on this.
Sure.
We're tight on time, so I want to make sure that we can get this out. So when it came to opening a second office,
Yeah.
how did you decide where you wanted to go?
Oh, that was easy.
That was easy.
We were bored. I think maybe 40% of our work was outside of Canada.
Okay.
At that point, like 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
And we were a little bored.
So it was
like
late 90s, early
routine.
2000s?
We're not good
Yeah.
with routine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Up to early 2000s.
Used to your front yard,
We're
go
not
backyard.
very good with routine. And we said, you know what? We love New York. Let's open a studio there, which we did. And it was at least 8 years before we broke even. But we did it for the reason of growing our lives.
Yeah.
That's always how we,
More interesting.
and then doggedly work through things till it works. This is how we always conduct.
We can just say, well, that's we didn't have to. And it's quite expensive to run a practice in New York.
It's a fortune.
Yes,
Yes.
I would imagine so.
And so we don't have to, but it's a joy to have options and for people to transfer back and forth,
Yeah.
learn and grow, and
And to have a presence in a city like New York is an important thing.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, that the things that it gave us
Yeah.
outshone kind of the strict business, you should be making money within a couple of years
Right.
notion. It gave us a bigger life. All of our work ended up being everywhere else on earth because we were in New York.
Yep.
It gave us, which is giving us credibility. It
Yep.
upped the ante
Yeah.
because there's more competition there.
Of course.
And the clients are much more difficult.
Yep.
And so we thought we can do this. We can do this. And so, America is a funny place today, but especially a place like New York City or LA, they're open to creativity, and they're open to new people coming and
Mhm.
embrace it.
Right.
And it's really great. And and now times change, so let's keep moving.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll never abandon New York.
I learned
We have lovely people there. We have friends there. We have homes there.
Yep.
But we also want to we can also keep growing this notion.
there's a simple difference of the entrepreneurial go-get-em drive with our neighbors, just us and us, and working for a developer, and they challenge have you because of insecurities or whatever. But maybe I didn't do a good, or we didn't do a good job of convincing them selling it. But I said, well, have you, the tone, well, have you done this before? And, doubt,
Yeah, that
questions
stuff.
like that, or have you seen this? Or sure. And then if you do a similar project for similar type of client in New York, the difference is they'll ask the same questions.
Right.
Have you done this before? I'm saying, no. I'm saying, well, have you seen anything closer? No, but it's just, well, let's get on with it before somebody else does it.
Yeah.
I always remembered that, right? Let's do it before them. And that's what excites me, because everybody's going excited with you. It's more fun when a group are excited and going in
Right.
one direction. Client,
Yeah.
your team.
Yeah.
So
us.
We always wanted to,
And so I love that as you just get more done and you go farther in the same amount of time. And so yes, well, so sure. And then you kind of lose excitement, but then the design stage becomes a little not interesting because you didn't get excited about it,
Right.
because they put, bit of a
Suck the life out
downer.
of it.
Yeah. So
But-
that's the difference. And so it was important for us to nurture us to be in New York so we can keep climbing.
Right.
the thing about, I take the example of designing hotels. No one lets you to reinforce George's point, no one lets you design a hotel unless you've designed a hotel. Well, that's a closed idea. But we got lucky in the year 2000 where we got a call from Mr. Sharp, from Four Seasons.
Yep.
Design a contemporary hotel for me. We've never done them in Tokyo. That was one of our first projects there. And then we got a call from Barry Sterling, who was starting this brand called W. We built my first W in Times Square. So we got into the game really early. And so you go through these explorations. This is a great typology. We can ride this up for a long time, which we have, and we become the experts in that. People don't even realize that we're the experts in retail at a point. And now yes, of course, we want to do the best hotel projects on earth.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
Yeah.
But we also want to do, tentative retreats in Africa. We want to do airports. We want to do anything around airlines. We're just opening the new airline, the first lounge for the newest airline, Riyadh Air in Saudi Arabia.
Amazing
and stuff. So we want to design institutions like art galleries and stuff, and we're getting closer and closer to those goals. But you open your mind to something and you just keep the feelers out.
You got to talk it into existence.
You talk it into a system. We have this thing about, we think that we should be representing Canada on the world stage to promote Canadian design. How would you do that? Well, Mr. Carney, we should do 24 Suspects, and we do it for free to illustrate the power of Canadian design exporting services. And we should do that.
Okay.
And we'll get there.
I do have one really short anecdotal story to share.
Okay.
Because you mentioned Four Seasons Izzy Sharp.
Yeah.
My wife and I were on our honeymoon,
Uh-huh.
and we showed up to the Four Seasons in Chiang Mai,
Okay.
which is at the time, this is 15 years
Yeah,
ago, was, I think one of their top 5 resorts.
Yeah.
I've never
Jason
been to that.
Friedman. Do you know
No.
No?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
We showed up in a tuk-tuk
Yeah.
that broke down
Yeah.
right in front. And so you were describing that situation in Taipei with the guy. I were walking out for like our honeymoon dinner at the Four Seasons, and the tuk-tuk that we arrived with broke down.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
well, not our fault anymore. Thank you, sir.
I think the general manager there at the time could have been a good friend of ours, Jason Friedman, he's an American fellow out building hotels in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Asia. He was a GM at the Four Seasons Chiang Mai. He's an incredible person.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It's an incredible hotel.
You want to say something? No, go ahead.
Stern, like, it's just another example of, well, let's do it for some meal. Oh, so I heard you haven't designed hotel. No.
I mean, whatever,
And so, okay, so we want to give it a shot, and you can compete for it. We're not going to pay you anything, though. I said, fine, we'll do it. And we did.
And look what it turned into.
Yeah.
Actually, the very first hotel was this tiny little hotel in Ottawa called the Ace Hotel.
Yeah.
And those guys came back last year
To do
Tiny.
that's got to be the 1990s. We're doing 2 hotels.
I mean,
This sweet company. We're doing a sweet little hotel on Queen Street at Church, and we're doing a hotel at Wasaga Beach.
okay, again, smiles. So
It's not about the money or the scale.
it's about the project, the people that are
People.
involved in it, the
Yeah, they
opportunity,
came back.
100%.
right?
They came back. They got something out of it.
Yeah.
And they
And it
want
stuck
more.
with them.
Yeah. That's
25
so
years.
amazing. That's the amazing
And
story.
the budgets are more
Yeah.
modest, but kind of doesn't have great hotels that feel Canadian.
Yeah.
They feel generic.
Right.
And so, and we're doing another project in Vancouver, which is a second Fairmont. And Fairmont has kind of gone wayward a little bit, and it started in Canada, and we feel this
Robert.
notion of owning it.
Yeah.
And so there's a bunch. There's another hotel at Bloor and Young, and there's a hotel in Vancouver, and we're super stoked about working in Canada because we haven't worked here in 25 years.
Sorry, go ahead.
You know, we were trying about that pumpkiness, and there he was so relieved, the owner of the villa. You're not American, and now he mentioned your leader, Mr. Carney. He says,
Yeah.
you know,
It's good time.
Yeah, it's a good time right now for
Yeah.
Canada, and I hope when they elbows have, they go further.
Yeah.
Wherever it takes.
Well, so I want to ask you about this element now. You say elbows up, and we've talked a lot about like the history of the practice. And I know that there is something that you're heavily involved with, and I want to get to that. And I want to talk about the philanthropy,
For sure.
because you've talked so much about how you
Sure.
try to give back to people on a professional basis. What does the philanthropy look like for you?
very important part.
It's becoming bigger.
And bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think it was in denial about receiving an order of Canada where I was.
Yeah,
And I was
we were both
ignoring
like,
it, and it's not right, and something must be wrong.
You have like imposter syndrome over this.
Yeah, well, they're talking about Dr. mallorisms and doing research, human genome mapping, and then, in the Taylor thing, DNA, says in DNA. We're sitting here actually. Oh, fuck, all we do is.
What's that?
That's the dreams of the group.
Oh,
After this incredible work by these people. Right?
we just pick drapes for a living.
So, match the drapes of the group. So we said, we gotta do a lot more.
Step it up.
Step it up our philanthropy. Because if there's a purpose need, we can do it.
We are.
So we're doing more. And it's kind of nice to explain to people because they get distorted the world that seems glamorous and put together and everything lines working for the client, the 1.5%.
Yeah.
And the irony and the challenges of having those young designers design largely at that level, I'm super young, and they've never experienced it.
right.
That's really hard.
Yep.
And it gives me an uncomfortable feeling that we're feeding and supporting lifestyle. And also there's that disconnect.
Yes.
To get so on a pulpit. But I just want them to see it's not all like that in our world.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important. We ask them to volunteer and participate in our philanthropic effort because it's so very important.
And so what? Yeah. What?
We are people that have a disadvantage and that you can give them a hand to move up in life. It's like, why wouldn't you at this phase in our life? People have done that to us. Arthur Erickson was a mentor. Klaus Nienkamper was a mentor. The teachers that were mentors and friends and stuff. We had finance people that were mentors and stuff and helped us move ahead in life. And, I mean, the most disadvantaged are people of color, people of origin, indigenous people that are persecuted because of their sexuality, children, all of that stuff. So we try to focus on organizations that are small enough or nimble enough that we can actually
Have direct impact.
Help change, like working with Friends of Rubies, which is a drop-in center for gay, lesbian, trans kids living on the streets to help them in counseling and stuff. We designed and helped fund EGAL, which is a transitional home for adolescents that are gay, lesbian, transgender, and indigenous.
Yeah.
They can transfer into society.
And there's on the street people.
Wow. Up in shelters.
White kids.
We're working with the Rainbow Railroad, who take kids out of countries where they're hunted, beaten, and murdered because of their sexuality and bring them to safe countries.
Sorry, what's it called?
It's called the Rainbow Railroad. It started in Canada. And now it has branches in Britain and in America. I went down with them to Jamaica, which is a huge problem, and we interviewed churches that told us that there were evangelical churches funded by the U.S. evangelical churches to teach families to throw their kids out of the house if they're gay, lesbian. They move to Kingston. They live in a park, and at night they live in the sewers, and they're hunted at night. And so we were down with 60 Minutes because they were filming all of this stuff, and some kid opens up his shirt and there's 2-day-old stab wounds. And the guy said, well, why didn't you go to the hospital? He said, well, they don't accept me. So when the sun was setting, getting dark, was getting dangerous, and we were looking for doctors for this kid. But we don't really understand that those issues are so in your face and exist. I give you one more. It's not about a role.
Yeah, go.
I met this guy 40 years ago, 35 to 40 years ago, Vinay. Vinay was teaching English in Moscow, in Russia. No, maybe St. Petersburg, in Russia somewhere.
Yeah.
And his high school friend, Jerry, worked for us. And Jerry said, can you help Vinay? I said, what's up? Vinay teaches English, and it was the 80s, and many of his students were gay and they were dying of AIDS. We want to smuggle condoms to Russia, which
Hell
that
yeah.
was one of our first examples of philanthropy. We were smuggling condoms to Russia. 40 years later, said, Jerry, what happened to Vinay?
Whatever happened to him?
He works for the UN. So
Come on.
we met with Vinay and his director of UN Aid, and we had a long tour of the UN, and we decided we would do an awareness campaign for UN Aid because the American government cut off the funding, and women and children in mostly Africa are starting to die of AIDS again. And we had organized a really great person to do a concert at the Noguchi Museum. We were like planning on hiring a full-time person on this and maybe convincing a hotel company to be part of it so it could be global.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole thing collapsed at the UN because there was no money left. But we're not stopping. We'll find some other way of helping. We do other things. Like for the AGO, we have a program of buying art with gay photographers, and mostly the subject matters in the 70s and 80s when there was a movement in the 70s and 80s when there was a crisis.
Yeah.
So that young people understood their history
Right.
through photography and art.
It's pretty powerful. I mean,
We're building something, and now we're really curious we're investigating Indigenous issues and battered women's issues in Canada.
I mean, so one of my favorite bands of all time is the Tragically Hip.
Yeah.
And
Jerry.
and Gord was like so big into what you're describing right now. It was like a huge part of what he was looking at later in his life. And it's like such a Canadian thing to do.
Yeah, it's the time. We're in our 70s. We have
The means.
reputation.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
use that in positive ways. And part of it is teaching people around us the value of philanthropy.
Yes.
And our value system, because it's important that we have employees that share our same values.
Mm-hmm.
The States are a little different culture.
Yeah.
The States, the philanthropic initiatives by individual corporations are more, I think there's some, of course, honorable ones, but they have consultants. If they have somebody who says, I feel it's time for me to spend some time and do something in philanthropy. So they have consultants.
Yeah.
But it's often you listen to these people that a friend of ours went to and said they try to it's almost like we're losing the point sometimes because it's like becomes a branding thing for that person.
And also how to
Not
manage
authentic.
funds. That's another big
it's tricky. It's very tricky.
There's grading systems to a lot of it.
I don't know.
Yeah. We set up a philanthropic fund here, but we self-manage.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure that's
Smart.
spent.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But we're small scale, small potatoes.
Compared to you and
you're trying to do more. Look, you're trying to do a lot more, and I think that's something in itself. I'm cognizant of time, so I do want to say to you, like I truly appreciate the fact that you were able to do this with me.
Of course. 100%.
It has been such.
I knew when I met you that
Do more
this would
with
be
fellow Canadians
joy.
and express who we are.
right.
Canada.
It's
It's super important.
it's an important thing, and the whole again, I've said this so many times on here, but the importance of what this podcast is being able to have the people that create and that have facilitated experience for so many people and what they get to have as a tangible experience coming from the mind of the two of you where it started. It's legacy for you, and I love it.
Possibilities everywhere. There are possibilities everywhere. Yeah.
So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time to do this. It's been a pleasure getting to know
It's
you.
been
We're
fun.
honored.
Thank you. We don't even let you ask questions, right, Joe?
We just keep talking.
No, I've asked lots of questions. I
Okay.
got everything I
Hey,
wanted.
I'm glad. I'm
So-
glad. It's been a treat.
So thanks for doing it, and I look forward.
Thanking, hanging, listening. Thank you. I hope
Hi, everybody.
Not too boring.
Yeah, and if you wanted, obviously you want to check out their work, obviously you can do that. You can head over to Instagram, go to their websites.
Yeah.
I'll have all that information in the liner notes. And George and Glenn, thank you again.
Thank you.
It was a real
It was
pleasure
fun.
being on the air with you. Thank you so much.